Hi, welcome. My name is Mr. Shirey. Today, we're going to be talking about English. So here's an interesting fact. Head researchers at Mbozeli National Park discover a shocking revelation. Giraffes' necks are not actually growing longer as previously thought. Trees are growing shorter. It's a pretty crazy fact, right? How do you know? How do you know that it's real? You could trust my authority as someone who's teaching and instructing in your class. However, if I don't cite my sources, then you don't know if this is actually true. And while, yes, this is kind of a ridiculous fact, and it's not nearly true, I made it up on the spot, it may be difficult to discern when other things are not so factual. That's why it's very important that whenever we're stating something in a paper, that we cite our sources. So that way, if anybody has any doubts about the information that we present in our paper or whatever work or project that we're working on, then they can look it up for themselves and verify that we are in fact telling the truth. Now for the bell ringer today, I want you all to take a spare piece of paper, writing out implement, whether that's a pen or a pencil, and I want you all to spend the next 5 minutes writing down a piece of information that you all have seen online over the past week. Now this can be on any social media, it can be when you were scrolling through Facebook, Instagram, TikTok. It doesn't have to be a news story, but it can if you want to. Whichever fact or piece of information that you've heard, go ahead and write it down. Take 5 minutes. Just think of something. And if you can't think of anything, just send a chat to me and we'll figure something out for you. After you all spend that time and write down whatever fact that you all heard, I would like you all to comment where you saw it, if you remember, if you believed it when you heard it, and if you looked for any proof to see if it was real or not. I run through a lot of information on social media, and a lot of people end up sharing it without ever verifying it, and they just kind of share it because of a confirmation bias that reinforces what they actually believe in. So it's very important that we make sure whatever information that we are spreading on has been verified by somebody, especially us and experts, to ensure that we're not passing on any bad information. So take 5 minutes. I'm going to go ahead and pause the video, and then after we'll reconvene, we'll have a little discussion about this. All right, so that 5 minutes is up. We went ahead and had our discussion. We had some really good examples. I really like some of the things that you all remembered. It's super interesting to hear what things stick in your head when you're going through and interacting with social media. Now we're going to move on and talk about why we need to cite our sources. So in college writing, anything that is not presented as your opinion or analysis of something needs to be cited. So we say if anything other than the fact that the sky is blue is stated in our papers, then we're going to have a source to back it up. Recently, I was writing a story or writing an essay about the Russian Revolution in 1917. And to talk about that, I had to bring up the reasons why it happened, which included an influx of population because of the industrialization of Russia from an agrarian society to a much more industrialized one. Now, for every fact that I brought up, including the 212% rise in population over 60 years, and also the coming revolution that happened, even though it was a historical fact, I had to cite my sources in the essay because they were facts that I was citing. They were facts that I was bringing up. And in order for anything to be mentioned by me that it's not my opinion, there needs to be some source of it. So that way, whoever's reading my paper can look for themselves and figure out what sense of authority that it's being discussed with. Now, I've got some key resources for citing online sources. The first one is going to be Purdue OWL, or the Online Writing Lab for Purdue University. This is going to be one of the most effective and comprehensive resources that are out there. Now, not only is there a physical copy, but there's an online copy, and all these slides that you all have access to are actually hyperlinked in. So I can click this right here, and it's going to take us eventually right to the website. So the one that I've chosen specifically is MLA. This is the one that's used most often in my line of work, in my line of education. And it goes through all the things that you need to know in order to cite your source properly, because citing your sources is not just relegated to saying whatever the title of the source was. You also have to have as much information as possible so that people can look up where it came from. So that's that hyperlink to the Purdue OWL that goes very in depth about everything. There are some citation machine links or EasyBib links, and these create citations for you. They are normally very good about including what needs to be found. However, there is some discretion on whether they always work correctly. So by using the Purdue OWL, the online writing lab, you can ensure that if you do use these links, that you can go back and you can check and see if they're doing it the right way. Just a second step of verification to ensure that you're always doing the right thing. So click out of that right quick. And we'll go through, I'll actually show you EasyBib. And I'll actually go ahead and pull up an article for you all. CNN.com. And we're going to click on a random story. I'm going to copy the link of this story. I'm going to go up to EasyBib. Create citation. I'm citing a website. There's my link. And it's going to search for me. So in it, this gives me an actual citation. And with websites like CNN, they're really good about having the article title, the URL, the website title, date access, date published, but sometimes they are missing steps, such as the publisher. So they do have the author, which is really good. That's something that you don't see all the time. And also it's going to automatically fill in the date that it was electronically accessed when you clicked on it. So sometimes information and facts about these certain situations change. And because of that, it's important to actually note when you access that article, because things may have changed in the time when people are reviewing your sources and when you were. So go to complete citation, and that's what it looks like. So I can copy the citation right there. And then for my paper, I can have a works cited, which is going to look just like this right here. And it's going to be its own page at the very bottom. So jump back in here. One thing that MLA, or Modern Language Association, looks for is the order of information about the source. So we have the author should come first, then the title of the source, the title of the container or website, other contributors, the version, the number, the publisher, the publication date, and the location. Now, you may not always have all of this information, but you're going to fill in the information in the order that you have it. So if I don't have the title of source, or I'll probably have that. I'll probably have the author, the title of source. Maybe I don't have the title of container, or maybe I don't have other contributors or the version or the number, but I've got the publication date and I've got the location. So I would just fill in those four in the order that's presented. just like this. So we have author, title, the title of container. So let's say we're quoting the Purdue OWL family of sites. So doesn't have an author, so we're just going to put the title, Purdue OWL family of sites. The title of container is going to be the writing lab at OWL at Purdue and Purdue U. No version, no number, no publisher. Publication date is going to be 2008. The location, so this is either the page paragraph if it's a book or an article, or the URL or permalink, which is right here if it's a website. So don't have a second container's title, don't have other contributors, don't have version, number, publisher, publication date, location, but I do have date of access. So I accessed it the 29th of April, 2021. So that way, if it changes in the meantime, they can see that I accessed it at this date where there may have been a previous version to what they see whenever they look. So you all are gonna take some time to do an activity today. I want you all to look online. I want you all to find an online source. I want you all to use the Google Slides linked in our Google Classroom to create your own slide, and then summarize the key point of your source. After it, I want you to attempt to cite that source based on the resources provided in this PowerPoint. And anybody that completes the citing properly will receive bonus points. So there's a little bit of incentive. If you don't do it right the first time, that's perfectly okay. I know plenty of college students, including myself, that are still having difficulty with this. It's difficult, but the more you practice now, the later you'll have to redo it later. So just go ahead. We'll go ahead and start. We'll take 30 minutes. If anybody has any questions, please don't hesitate to ask. I'm always here to help. That's it.